back to Trick Tracker special show in the air with me, Nivedna Prabhu. I have all you cricket fans joining me and two disappointed Team India cricket fans also joining me. Prateek Tiwari and Chirag Manocha in the studios with me. England have clinched this one by winning by 7 wickets. It was an absolute show by two batters. Johnny Bairstow एक तरफ, Joe Root, who was just very difficult to be uprooting. I see a lot of comments coming in with crying emoticons. Don't worry, Chandra Reddy, जो हमारे दो cricket guests हैं मेरे साथ studios में, they absolutely feel as much as you're feeling bad about this. Before getting on talking about the entire match and how things have panned out for England, I'll come to you. सबसे पहले Chirag, welcome back. Great to have you once again. सबसे पहले मुझे बताइए, 3 वर्ड्स में, 3 शब्दों में अगर ये लॉस को डिफाइन करना पड़े, व्हाट वुड बी द फर्स्ट 3 वर्ड्स?
बहुत खराब हुआ.
बहुत खराब हुआ.
एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं था, बहुत खराब हुआ और उम्मीद नहीं थी. जिस तरह से अभी कल देखो आप, चौथे दिन टी तक ये मैच आप कह सकते हो कि इंडिया की तरफ था, लेकिन जिस तरह से जॉनी बेयरस्टो, जो रूट खेले हैं, आई मीन मैं चाहता नहीं कि मैं बोलूं, तारीफ करूं, पर ये तारीफ के हकदार हैं, इनकी तारीफ करना बनता है. सिंगल हैंडेडली दोनों मैच को लेकर गए इंग्लैंड की तरफ. आई मीन अब देखो, इंडिया जीता हार गया, तो जॉनी बेयरस्टो, जो रूट कमाल. और अब फैब 4 में सबसे आगे निकल चुके हैं जो रूट, तो तारीफ के हकदार है. कुछ अभी वर्ड्स नहीं है, थोड़ा दुख हो रहा है, फील हो रहा है, लेकिन क्रिकेट है. तो हाँ, जो रूट और जॉनी बेयरस्टो, हैट्स ऑफ.
राइट, करेक्ट. अगर जॉनी बेयरस्टो और हम जो रूट की भी बात करें, प्रत्यय और मैंने प्री मैच एनालिसिस में भी बात किया कि इफ देयर इज ओनली वन वे कि ये जो मैच अगर इंडिया की तरफ से जाएगा, नंबर 1 पहले 30-40 मिनट्स में, तो अगर दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू lose wickets, then it's a comfortable win for टीम इंग्लैंड. बट बहुत ही बेहतरीन और जल्दी निपटा दिया टीम इंग्लैंड ने इंडिया को. दे वर लाइक, लेट्स नॉट इवन वेट टू लॉन्ग, लेट्स जस्ट फिनिश as soon as possible and get this done with Pratik. One thing has to be that once again the talking point being what a fabulous performance by Bairstow in both his innings. Joe Root as well with this particular innings of his. Summarizing the 5th and final rescheduled test, this is not the kind of result that Team India would have wanted. But I want you to talk a little bit about the growth of England Test cricket from Ashes up until now. क्योंकि बहुत ही खराब रहा, and then with new things happening to them, seeing this way of the cricket that they're playing, because वो एक particular question जो हम लेना चाहते थे about the Baz form of hitting as well. If you could summarize all of this to me, and then we'll get to the talking about the test.
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, you're not supposed to chase 378 like that. I mean, are you? I mean, 378, it's a lot of runs, but what England has been playing, the brand of cricket, it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, you have to stand and you have to admire the kind of cricket they've played. And what a summer they are having. Talk about Bairstow, talk about Root. Even in this game, I mean, 7 wickets is what India needed to take. And 7 wickets is what exactly England romp home with. I mean, that they've done it in a canter, and you can you can stand and admire that. I mean, look at those knocks, look at the strike rates, the way they are playing. And as well, of course, I mean, you can clearly see it was a team which was looking to go nowhere, from winning one single test in 17 tests to seeing a wholesale of changes in the management, in the captaincy, in the coaching staff, and then to rise from there to defeat the World Test Championship winners, New Zealand 3-0. That's one heck of an achievement in itself. And then to do what they have done, I mean, 4 test matches on the trot. Never has this happened that a team has managed to chase 250 plus totals 4 times in succession. So England is absolutely, I mean, redefining the game. It's changing the landscape of test format, because any one of us 3 months back, if you would have told that 378 would be chased the way they chased, we would have laughed it off. But they've done it, and you just have to give them credit for that.
All right, so this is about performers who have done well. I've seen 2 questions about England's entire strategy of how they've changed things around in terms of aggressive cricket, and also what bowlers need to be approaching in Test cricket. I'll come a little bit to that in a bit. If you could take a look at Team India's bowling summary, and मैं चिराग से पूछना चाहूंगी, यहाँ तो of course nobody would have wanted कि bowlers wicketless जाए, especially for someone like Shami, Siraj, and even Shardul Thakur not even picking up a single wicket, which is the most surprising. I guess Shami, in my opinion, I would say Shami going wicketless. लेकिन आपको क्या लगता है, Siraj और Shardul Thakur से at least 1 wicket would have been expected? What do you think went wrong वहाँ पे?
राइट, आई मीन देखो मोहम्मद शमी विकेटलेस रही, लेकिन जिस तरह से बॉलिंग करी वो, अभी कह सकते हो कि अनलकी रहे, बहुत बार बीट किया बैटर्स को, कई बार कैचेस मिस हुए, तो आई मीन मोहम्मद शमी ने अच्छी बॉलिंग करी, लेकिन ये कहना होगा कि मोहम्मद सिराज, जसप्रीत, सॉरी, रविंद्र जडेजा, शार्दुल ठाकुर से वो सपोर्ट नहीं मिला जो टीम इंडिया को चाहिए था, मेन बॉलर्स को, जसप्रीत बुमराह, मोहम्मद शमी को। अ, अभी अभी देखो, अभी ये है कि जैसे इंग्लैंड ने अपनी टैक्टिक्स को चेंज करा है, व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट की तरह वो खेलने लगे हैं, बॉलर्स को भी चेंज करना चाहिए। अभी बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस भी आ रहे हैं, ये भी क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, लेकिन बॉलर्स ने ट्राई करा, वो लेंथ भी थी, स्टंप्स पे बॉलिंग करी, यॉर्कर्स ट्राई करे, पर क्रेडिट देना होगा दोनों बैटर्स को, जो रूट, जॉनी बेस्टो को, जिस तरह से ये खेले, आई मीन चाहे कोई भी बॉलिंग अटैक होता, ये
या
वो इनके सामने मतलब इतना इफेक्टिव नहीं हो पाता जित अभी हमने देखा, मतलब इंडियन बॉलर्स ने अपनी तरफ से पूरा ट्राई करा और अच्छा मतलब अपना 100% दिया, पर ये दोनों ओवर प्ले कर गए।
कैपिटलाइज नहीं हो पाया। ठीक है, आपने एक पॉइंट अभी किया अबाउट हाउ देयर अप्रोच शुड बी डिफरेंट। तो प्रत्यय, देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन, ठीक है, विल द न्यू अटैकिंग बैटिंग स्टाइल इन टेस्ट फोर्स bowlers to bring in white ball tactics? क्या ये देखने को मिलेगा? और इज इट बिकॉज ये वाली टेस्ट वैसा रहा है, तो इट ऑफ कोर्स इट brings about mixed opinions. What's your takeaway from this particular question that we have?
See, you have to search solutions. I mean, because at the moment England is behaving like a monster that you just cannot kill. But
Yeah,
the thing is that can you actually introduce and infuse white ball tactics into a red ball format with the bat? It can be done maybe to an extent because the batters are showing real positive intent and they are playing aggressively. But you really do not think that what you expect in T20 cricket. The ball is different. The way the red ball behaves in comparison to the white ball, that is entirely different. And if you look at the kind of tracks that are prepared, because here you're talking about a match that is being played over the course of 5 days, unlike a T20 match, which would probably last not more than 4.5 hours. So it becomes, I mean, Test cricket, it's the most traditional format. And what we have seen through all these years happening with it is something that you have to bide your time, you have to grind yourself. What England has managed to do is that they have absolutely perhaps killed that element of time, because the way they are chasing, I mean, even in this game, if you look, perhaps all of us thought that probably India is 70-80 short, but in hindsight, when you looked at this total has been chased by with such ruthless ease. I don't think that India was winning this game even if they would have said 500, because they are just going. I mean, look at the amount of time England still had and the amount of wickets they still had and the way they played, very slow route. So, whether you can actually employ those tactics of white ball cricket, the problem is that in white ball cricket, you keep on experimenting, you keep on mixing up things, whereas Test cricket is one of those formats which rewards consistency. So I'm really
Right.
not sure how exactly our bowler is going to find a solution to this approach. But the only thing perhaps that we can think is that 4 Test matches we have seen this happening. This is absolutely, I mean, this is hard to believe and hard to fathom. But we have to also factor in this that England has not traveled. All these 4 games have been played in their own conditions. So this baseball, the real test of it would be when England travels, perhaps comes to the subcontinent, goes to
right.
Australia maybe. So there we will
Yeah,
have to see. So I think bowlers definitely have their task cut out. I mean, if the batters are batting this way, they have
yeah.
to come with a solution.
All right. So that is,
I
of course,
think
Pratik thinking on that particular question coming in. दूसरी तरफ, no surprises for guessing the player of the match being Johnny Bairstow. Quite a run he's had. But once again, like we've spoken, when you play at home and then when you play away, वो दूसरी बात है. But this is also
पर आई थिंक
exciting.
जीत का जो क्रेडिट है वो कहीं ना कहीं ओपनर्स को भी देना होगा, क्योंकि ओपनर्स ने अच्छा स्टार्ट दिया, अगर वो जल्दी आउट हो जाते तो जो रूट और जॉनी बेस्टो पर प्रेशर आता, जैसे हमने देखा फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में, क्योंकि जॉनी बेस्टो भी फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में 2 सेंचुरी की, लेकिन स्टार्टिंग में वो स्ट्रगल कर रहे थे, जो रूट भी सस्ते में वापस लौट चुके थे, तो कहीं ना कहीं
Correct.
ओपनर्स को भी क्रेडिट देना होगा इसमें।
Correct. और वो उल्टा हुआ इंडिया की तरफ, क्योंकि openers did not get that perfect start, जहाँ पे the first innings went well because of Jadeja and Pant's partnership. But more or less, lot of takeaway lessons for them as well. But before you know it, we'll be diving into the white ball series as well. So utna, to soak in the mistakes of this particular match will take a while. But it's also interesting because it goes on to add points to your ultimately to your World Test Championship, in case you all forgot. So this is why each series also becomes so much more interesting. There is a particular comment coming in from Vignesh saying that he felt that the short ball approach was a little too late against Besto. As I said, Besto can go bonkers. Is what his question is. What do you think? Pratyay, I'll come to you with this question. I also have a question to ask you. काफी interesting था ये जो pictures viral गया है where Brendan McCullum is sitting in the in the pavilion and telling the England bowlers when Shreyas Iyer was actually batting to go for that approach to dismiss him. And since we're talking about the short ball as well, quite interesting because Brendan has been coach for KKR as well. Again, of course, when you play for the national side, it's a completely different thing. What
और
do you
कहीं ना
think?
कहीं उन दोनों की बनी नहीं थी। अगर ये काफी रूमर्स भी आए थे कि श्रेयस अय्यर और ब्रेंडन मैकलम की इतनी वो बॉन्डिंग हुई नहीं थी जितनी होनी चाहिए कैप्टन और कोच के बीच में। तो
अच्छा,
maybe
तो ये क्या इनसाइड खबर आप हमें दे रहे हैं? ठीक है, फिर
इनसाइड नहीं, रूमर्स थे, बहुत बहुत वायरल हुआ था कि इन दोनों की बन नहीं रही है, ऐसा कुछ दोनों के बीच में कुछ ठीक नहीं है क्योंकि वो कुछ और प्लेयर को खिलाना चाह रहे थे, उन्होंने शायद किसी को ऊपर भेजा था। श्रेयस अय्यर काफी अनहैप्पी थे उस बात से, तो ये
Right.
हुआ था आईपीएल के टाइम पर। आई
Right. No, of course, finding that balance, it's a seesaw when it comes to captains.
बदला
And
बदला लिया बदला।
we have seen that happen previously as well, but like Chirag said, on a lighter note, शायद बदला ले रहे हैं. But coming to you, coming to you, would you like to answer what Vignesh's viewpoint has been about the short ball as well?
Well, I mean, we have constantly talked about Shreyas Iyer struggling. I mean, his struggles against the short ball are well documented. We have seen that happening. And even now, what happens is that when you are playing in India, I mean, his record has been phenomenal. I mean, he's gotten 3 half centuries, a century on his debut as well. And he's an experienced campaigner. He has played a lot of first-class cricket, of course. But I think that when you are going to travel to England, to Australia, to South Africa, to places where you will be peppered with short balls, where there will be pace and there will be bounce, there would be swing and see movement, there you are going to open up, which is what we saw in this test match, because twice he was dismissed by against the short ball, and we know that it has been a problem with him even against the white ball. He has not been looked. I mean, he has at times looked slightly at sea against the Pacers. He's someone who dominates spin. So I think that if he's playing in the subcontinent, of course he is one of your go-to batters, and he is one of those players who can be the ideal replacement for Ajinkya Rahane in the setup. But when you are traveling abroad, you have to have that repertoire in yourself, that skill set to kind of maneuver the short ball, because that is going to happen, that is going to come, and it will keep on coming you all the time, because these England bowlers, even Australia,
find a way to work around it.
Absolutely, he has to, because it's a struggle which is now well known, and every one of us knows it. The opposition knows it, and they are constantly kind of making use of that and exploiting that. So I think it would be a disappointing test for him as well on a personal front, because he got a chance but did not manage to score too many runs in either of the innings.
All right, that is of course Vignesh. We hope it answers your question. There's another comment coming in from Rao Asif. I see a lot of you making comments. I'll try taking as many as possible. I will try to combine two of these opinions that have come in. One is from Rao Asif, the other being from Deepak. He has said that batters except for Ravindra Jadeja and Pant, who kind of contributed, but dusri taraf all the other batters did not get going. Rao Asif stating that India has to blame themselves for drawing the series. Last year when India had momentum and led 2-1, they left for IPL, now paid the price. Poor batting display, no planning. Okay, I'm not going to take the IPL part because it was just unfortunate that IPL had to be rescheduled because of COVID. So it's not like, in Team India would have also liked to not win this series. But I'll take that part where you have said that there was poor batting display and no planning, and taking Deepak's question as well, or rather opinion, that he felt that only Pant and Jadoo put up a good show. Chirag, coming to you, what is your takeaway from that? Do you think, which batter did you expect to kind of add more value to this particular Indian team? Because I think Pratyay and me spoke about it a lot during the show, that Rohit Sharma not being there also affecting them quite a lot. So who do you think could have potentially added value, considering we've already spoken about who added value?
राइट, और विराट कोहली से तो हम हमेशा एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि इतने बड़े प्लेयर और इतना बड़ा मैच है तो कुछ एक अच्छी इनिंग्स निकल कर आएगी, पर वो वैसा हो नहीं पाया। तो अनलकी रहे सेकंड इनिंग्स में, पर आउट तो आउट होता है। और स्टार्ट की बात करें, जो इंग्लैंड को मिली सेकंड इनिंग्स में, वो इंडिया को नहीं मिल पाई। शुभमन गिल आई मीन टैलेंटेड बैटर है, बहुत पोटेंशियल है, पर वो वैसा परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाए जो हम सभी एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे। बाकी फिर श्रेयस अय्यर, शार्दुल ठाकुर से लो डाउन दी ऑर्डर वैसा कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं आया जो टीम एक्सपेक्ट कर रही थी कि अगर वो थोड़ा 30-40 रन का भी कंट्रीब्यूशन करते नीचे तो शायद कुछ स्टोरी कुछ और हो सकती थी, पर वो नहीं हुआ। और बाकी जड्डू और पंत ने तो आई मीन बेहतरीन खेल दिखाया, पर ये 3 बैटर्स हैं, आई मीन विराट कोहली, शुभमन गिल और शार्दुल ठाकुर, अगर ये थोड़ा बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म करते तो शायद कहानी कुछ और हो सकती थी।
All right, that is of course on terms of who we could have expected more from, and these are of course like Chirag said, expectation Kohli ki taraf se is always a lot more. Ronald Davis saying thanks to Crick Tracker for these sessions. Special thanks to Nivedna, Pratyam, Chirag. Cheers. Waiting for limited overs fixtures between India and England. Of course, we'll get talking about what we can expect from the white ball series. But thank you from Pratyek, Chirag, and me as well for coming and always having your interactive questions. I'm pretty sure Pratyay always has a good time to be answering those and taking all your questions. So if you have any more, put that in the comment section. Harsha Bogle also has said that the eighth largest run chase in history has been a stroll in the park, but hasn't faced a challenge from the ball for the last 200 runs. Now we'll get talking about this particular series, and I'll take more questions. But before that, I also want to find out what everybody's tweeting on, social tracker, and what everybody's discussing, and what the buzz is about on social media. Chirag, will you take us through social tracker?
राइट, जॉनी वेस्टो की यहाँ तारीफ हो रही है। सादिक ने ये ट्वीट करा है, जो लास्ट की 5 इनिंग्स हैं जॉनी वेस्टो की, 114 अनबीटन ऑफ 145 बॉल्स, 106 ऑफ 140 बॉल्स, 71 अनबीटन ऑफ 44 बॉल्स, 162 ऑफ 157 बॉल्स, 136 ऑफ 92 बॉल्स, मतलब अनस्टॉपेबल, रिकॉर्ड ब्रेकर्स, जॉनी वेस्टो एंड जो रूट। इंग्लैंड क्रिकेट का ये ट्वीट कमाल। सनराइजर्स हैदराबाद का भी ट्वीट आया, इंग्लैंड कंप्लीट द हाईएस्ट एवर रन टेस्ट रन चेज टू विन द 5th टेस्ट एंड ड्रॉ द सीरीज। तारीफ करनी हुई इंग्लैंड की, क्योंकि एक टाइम पर इंग्लैंड इंडिया आगे दिख रहा था, पर जिस तरह से इंग्लैंड ने कम बैक किया, अपलॉडेबल। मुंबई इंडियंस का ट्वीट, डिसअपॉइंटिंग एंड टू व्हाट वाज इन engrossing टेस्ट मैच, टीम इंडिया रिटेन द पटौदी ट्रॉफी आफ्टर द सीरीज एंड्स 2-2। ये 3-1 भी हो सकता था, पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली 2-2। देखना तो हम 3-1 चाहते थे, पर
वो हुआ नहीं, रिजल्ट नहीं हुआ शायद। I think like what even Pratyay had said initially, when there is that momentum which they did have last year at this time, maybe a result would have been very different, right? And so changes happened in Team India. Also Bumrah's first assignment. But दूसरी तरफ great news in terms of player of the series. They have Joe Root as the player of the series, and they also, I believe, 2 player of the series. So I'm just waiting for my producer to tell me if it's Joe Root and Bairstow who have got the player of the series, one being Joe Root, of course. And before we we'll have India as well. So I'll give you a little update about that when I get it. But before we sign off, it's on to the next assignment. Like I said, there's no absolute time to breathe. We will be discussing the white ball series. Pratyay, I'll come to you. I'll ask my producer to also check a little bit of a technical issue with Chirag. Hopefully we can have him back on the show. Yahan pe England versus India, the first T20I will be at the Rose Bowl, Southampton. And this is going to begin at a very convenient time for Indian fans. It's going to be at 10:30 p.m. IST, but it's going to be a lot of action and fun as well. Before we dive into that, बहुत कुछ हुआ है, right from the South Africa T20Is to what they'll be facing in England. A little bit about those warm-up matches also that they had in between, which we discussed yesterday as well. What is the momentum like going into now another format? Of course, they would want to win, but some names that are doing the rounds will get opportunities. We'll also have to wait and watch if Rohit Sharma is completely fit to be leading the team as well. What is your takeaway? Apart from winning, T20I series में क्या expect करना चाहिए, considering time is now, very close to the T20 World Cup?
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, that is what all the T20Is now in the lead up to the World Cup are going to be, to find your combinations, to kind of ascertain what kind of players do you, how players performing, how are they responding to match situations. India is, I mean, it was a second string squad, but you had plenty of performers against Ireland. Deepak Hooda being one, he had a great IPL as well, and is coming back to lead. But you are going to have the same squad that took on Ireland, apart from that one addition. And then in the second and third T20Is, you're going to have almost all of your first choice players back into action. So I think that is also good, because these players, I mean, as much as IPL they have played, and as much franchise-based cricket other players have been playing, T20 internationals has kind of taken a little bit of a backseat for the main players of India, because they have not been into that kind of an action. Plenty of rest, plenty of injuries. Because of that, some of the other reason players have been missing out on. So now it becomes important. Of course, England would be really chuffed, I mean, because this was a win for the ages. So of course they would want to carry forward that momentum into the limited overs as well. But that's a different ball game. I mean, that's absolutely, in a literal sense too, it's a white ball. and they're absolutely, the baseball theory, of course, is something that you will expect more of it even there, which England is managing to do in Test cricket as well. But I think India would be. I mean, it would not be very hard to say that India perhaps would fancy their chances a lot more in the shorter format. But England are absolute white ball champions as well. I mean, in the last couple of years, their way of playing white ball cricket has been absolutely insane as well. So I think
Right.
it's a great series to have a look on, and it would be a good contest for sure.
That's right. And talking about a good contest, with the fact that the series has ended, so it also means that, having player of the series from both the teams, Joe Root, no surprises for guessing, has won from Team England because he has had 737 runs in the series. And Jasprit Bumrah getting 23 wickets in 5 matches. So, दूसरा जो JV factor है, Johnny Bairstow has won the player of the match. So looks like the J factor has been, in absolutely full swing in this particular series. We are very thrilled that all of you could join us on Crick Tracker's special show in the air to be discussing this 5th and final rescheduled test match. I think Pratyay and me can finally be like, that's not the result that we intended, but this is done and dusted. But on to the next one, like Pratyay's already told us what he's awaiting. We will have to wait and watch if Chirag Manocha's favorite player, that is Rohit Sharma, will be back in action to be leading Team India in the white ball series. But we'll have all those updates, analysis, and predictions about the white ball series as well between England and India, and everything to do with cricket right here on Crick Tracker. So don't forget to join us and also follow us on all our social media handles. Until we see you next time, take care of yourself.